A reading from the book of Job. Job answered, I would speak to the Almighty, and I desire to argue my case with God. As for you, you whitewash with lies. All of you are worthless physicians. If you would only keep silent, that would be your wisdom. Hear now my reasoning, and listen to the pleadings of my lips. Will you speak falsely for God, and speak deceitfully for him? Will you show partiality toward him? Will you plead the case for God? Will it be well with you when he searches you out? Or can you deceive him as one person deceives another? He will surely rebuke you if in secret you show partiality. Will not his majesty terrify you, and the dread of him fall upon you? Your maxims are proverbs of ashes. Your defenses are defenses of clay. Let me have silence, and I will speak, and let come on me what may. I will take my flesh in my teeth, and put my life in my hand. See, he will kill me. I have no hope, but I will defend my ways to his face. This will be my salvation, that the godless shall not come before him. Listen carefully to my words, and let my declaration be in your ears. Withdraw your hand far from me, and do not let dread of you terrify me. Then call, and I will answer, or let me speak, and you reply to me. How many are my iniquities and my sins? Make me know my transgression and my sin. Why do you hide your face and count me as your enemy? Will you frighten a wind-blown leaf and pursue dry chaff? For you write bitter things against me, and make me reap the iniquities of my youth. You put my feet in the stocks, and watch all my paths. You set a bound to the soles of my feet. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Well, this reading from the book of Job, and there are kind of two sections to it. One is a great primer on pastoral care and what not to do when being a companion with another who is in suffering. And then another one speaks about the human plight before God. So I wanted to do the talk about the guidance on pastoral care that we get from the book of Job. Has at the beginning of this lesson, the lectionary makes it unclear, but at the beginning of what I read, Job is speaking to his three friends who show up to console him, and he says, as for you, his friends, you whitewash with lies. All of you are worthless physicians. If you would only keep silent, that would be your wisdom. And it says, will you speak falsely for God and speak deceitfully for him? Will you show partiality toward him? Will you plead the case for God? In a sense, what the friends have done in the parts of the Job that we haven't read is basically they're trying to demonstrate to Job that he really does deserve what he's gotten, and that in the end he just has to know that God is just, and there must have been something that Job did or some reason, and it could be that there's some sort of calculus of justice by which Job's suffering is justified. And they defend God's ways to Job. And in a sense, Job's saying that is simply no way to talk to somebody who's suffering. And isn't that true? When we are companions and in solidarity with those who suffer, it's not our job to show partiality to God. That is, we don't have to show up to be God's attorney in that situation. We're not there to say, well, this is a scriptural way of looking at it. That's not the time. In some ways, that's what I kind of, Bible studies are for before the suffering, right? I can explain, I can teach God's ways and the doctrine of, how God is present with us in suffering before it happens. But when you're in the room, when you're in the moment, that is not the time to be God's attorney or even to be a teacher on behalf of God. As Job says, your silence would have been your wisdom. And when we are in solidarity with those who suffer, I think that often silence is the best speech. A silence which can invite the other to pour out their complaint, to God in your presence, and that you can come alongside in prayer as we listen to the heartache and the groaning of the other. Because in the power of the Holy Spirit, as we know from St. Paul, the Holy Spirit speaks through us in groanings too deep for words. And in the groanings of the one who suffers, we are called to listen for what the Holy Spirit is praying in that person. And we can pray along with that. And in a sense, with our own groanings too deep for words. And that is Christian solidarity in action. It is a solidarity of silence, of suffering with and alongside, not trying to justify or explain or rationalize the situation, but simply to be present in it. And as Paul would say, to weep with those who weep. And the rejoicing with those who rejoice isn't like, hey, good, you're lucky, super for you, or congratulations on that raise. The rejoicing there is about a vindication from trouble or suffering. So in a sense, we come alongside those who have suffered in their vindication, but also when they're in the midst of it. We come alongside both when they rejoice over how God has brought them through, but it's also important that we weep while they are weeping in the midst of their suffering. So, beloved friends, I have a suspicion that you probably have someone in your life who is suffering. And I pray that you would open your hearts to the solidarity of silence, and that would be found to be wisdom, the wisdom of God speaking through you.